This white-garbed maiden seemed akin to an ethereal immortal descended from the ninth heaven. Each step she took carried the elegance of drifting clouds and flowing water, serene, dignified, and refined. Yet her figure possessed an enchanting charm, her slender, long legs graceful enough to reach the waist of anyone standing at equal height. The longer a woman's legs, the more captivating her bearing became. Her bodily proportions were so flawless that merely watching her walk was enough to stir endless reveries. Her waist was supple and willow-like, yet the curve of her hips arched proudly, exuding a bewitching allure. Her bosom was not overly ample, yet plump enough to fill a man's grasp, while her rosy neck gleamed like warm jade, swan-like in its elegance. Her black hair poured down like a cascade of ink, bound only by a ribbon of white silk. There was not a single ornament upon her person, yet this absence made it seem as though any adornment would only sully her natural perfection. For nothing in the mortal world could enhance such beauty. Ling Han was taken aback. As expected, this woman did not need to reveal her face for one to sense her celestial grace, beauty sublime enough to transcend all ages. Only one other woman had ever stirred such a feeling in him: Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden. Yet he had seen the Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden's true visage, and her matchless appearance indeed complemented her flawless form. Judging by looks alone, she was without doubt the most breathtaking woman in the world, so beautiful that she seemed unfit to dwell among mortals. But, I. Ling Han let out a sigh. That woman was far too unruly, appearing out of nowhere, taking whatever she pleased. Attempting to reason with her would earn only a fierce glare, and his 4 disciples had each been beaten miserably at her hands. In terms of reverence, Ling Han could thump his chest and swear his 4 disciples were far more obedient to the Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden than they ever were to him. Heh, you keep insisting otherwise, yet your eyes are quite honest. Now you must realize that Fairy Ju's elegance is unrivaled in her generation. Yes? Gong Ledian's teasing voice sounded beside Ling Han's ear, pulling him from his drifting thoughts. Ling Han simply returned a faint smile, offering no explanation. He still felt that if one day his strength surpassed the Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maidens, marrying a woman like her wouldn't be a bad thing. Pleasing to behold indeed. But without sufficient strength, she would surely suppress him, and perhaps at night, he would be the one pressed beneath her. When Zhu Xuan'er arrived, she instantly became the focus of all eyes. It was as though she had been born a goddess, and all others could only dim in her presence. Her grace was too radiant, leaving others unable even to envy her. Regardless of gender, every gaze upon her burned with fervor, as though a single word from her would send them charging through raging flames or plunging into boiling seas. Ling Han was inwardly stunned. Their worship bordered on madness. He himself would absolutely never go that far. Xuan'er is delighted to meet all the young elites present. Allow Xuan'er to offer a toast to everyone. Zhu Xuan'er lifted her wine bowl, and instantly countless faces glowed with awe and flustered excitement as they hastily raised their own bowls in response. As she gently lifted the edge of her white gauze veil, revealing a snowy chin and crimson lips, the crowd reacted as though spellbound. Some spurted nosebleeds, while others fainted outright from sheer agitation. They downed their wine in a single gulp, feeling that even death held no regrets after receiving a toast from Zhu Xuan'er. Ling Han's heart stirred slightly. Though he had yet to see Zhu Xuan'er's full countenance, just her chin and her small crimson lips were enough to allow one's imagination to conjure a vision of unparalleled beauty. It was merely the edge of a concealed jewel, yet Ling Han was certain Zhu Xuan'er's beauty far surpassed Liu Yutong's and the others, and could even stand alongside the Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden. However, Ling Han's heart remained unmoved. He could not help it. He saw the Heavenly Phoenix Divine Maiden almost daily, and her frequent antics left him endlessly exasperated. How could he possibly like her even if he wished to? With such a natural countermeasure in place, what did it matter if Zhu Xuan'er was nearly her equal? After offering her toast, Zhu Xuan'er lowered her gauze veil, instantly plunging everyone into profound reluctance, their hearts aching as though something precious had been torn away. She then spoke. Xuan'er seeks to purchase a medicinal ingredient. If no one possesses it, then information regarding it will suffice. Xuanair will repay generously. Fairy Zhu, speak and we shall obey. Yes, serving Fairy Zhu is our greatest honor. Through fire or flood, even 10,000 deaths will not stop us. Voices rang out one after another, and even several young women gazed at her with blazing devotion. Zhu Xuan'er's delicate features remained impassive as she said, "The ingredient Xuan'er seeks is a 7th-tier herb known as the Crimson Red Chilling Ice Grass." Crimson Red Chilling Ice Grass? What is that? Never heard of it. Many shook their heads at once, but Ling Han's heart jolted. Crimson Red Chilling Ice Grass was one of the 2 key components he required. Unexpectedly, he was now in direct competition with Zhu Xuan'er. Should they vie for it, countless bystanders would certainly despise him. No matter. So what if she was stunning beyond compare? She could not compare even to a single hair of this grandmaster. Fairy Zhu, I know where the Crimson Red Chilling Ice Grass can be found. A youth suddenly leapt to his feet, excitement overtaking him. Without being prompted, he immediately spilled everything. 3 months ago, when I had just left the Dark Demon Forest, I heard someone mention that the Crimson Red Chilling Ice Grass lies deep within the forest. Hiss! Everyone drew in a sharp breath. The Dark Demon Forest was among the most infamous of perilous lands, its depths inhabited by flower-blossom-tier beasts. Few dared set foot within. Fairy Zhu, the Dark Demon Forest is far too dangerous. It would be better to wait 2 more years. Nonsense. Fairy Zhu needs the herb to save someone. How can she wait 2 years? So you would have Fairy Zhu risk her life in the Dark Demon Forest? She might perish. Indeed, in 2 years' time, Fairy Zhu may advance to the Flower Blossom tier. Only then will she have nothing to fear. Ling Han felt his spirit tremble. The Dark Demon Forest actually housed the Crimson Red Chilling Ice Grass. He had been ordered to gather 7 stalks of fiery sungrass and had not intended to fulfill the task. Yet now fate seemed to be steering him there, mysterious and irresistible. It appeared he would have to venture into the Dark Demon Forest. Zhu Xuan'er had been momentarily troubled when the youth publicly revealed the herb's location. But upon reflection, how many truly dared to enter the Dark Demon Forest? She thanked the youth and promised that should he ever encounter difficulty, he would be welcome to seek her at the Half-Moon Sect. Since she was in urgent need of the Crimson Red Chilling Ice Grass, she soon took her leave. Once she departed, the atmosphere plummeted, and few had the mood to linger. Furthermore, many had already exchanged for the treasures they sought. One after another, they began to take their leave. Ling Han was extremely pleased with this journey. Not only had he acquired the Gold Silk Thousand Spark Fruit, he had also gained information regarding the Crimson Red Chilling Ice Grass. He returned to refine the Gold Silk Thousand Spark Fruit. It was not fitting to keep lodging in an inn forever. Since Ling Han had opened 2 shops in Jiyang City to draw in endless streams of origin crystals, he had already gone out to look for a residence to purchase. Yet within such a short span of days, he still had not found a house that pleased him. Liu Yutong and Li Xichan were exceedingly particular about the quality of a dwelling. But if it were up to Ling Han, so long as the place was clean, was living here or there not the same? Thus, they still temporarily stayed at the inn. After returning to the inn, Ling Han immediately flashed into the Black Tower. In the martial world, to temper one's cultivation was naturally the foremost matter. He swallowed the Gold Silk Thousand Spark Fruit and along the way shattered 100 pieces of origin crystal. When, in an instant, inexhaustible origin power coiled about him like mist and tide, and unbroken streams of strength poured into his limbs and bones as though kneading and forging him. Hong, the spirit fruit's medicinal force, unfurled. Ling Han took his body as a furnace, melting and fusing that medicinal might, and, with the origin power supplied by the origin crystals joining in, his cultivation at once began to soar like a hawk riding the wind. 2 spiritual oceans, one yin, one yang, spun in opposite directions, and under the layered impact of medicine and origin power, they steadily swelled and broadened. If it were anyone else, this would already be swift beyond belief, yet Ling Han's spiritual oceans were far greater than those of ordinary spiritual ocean tier warriors. So the progress instead seemed unbearably slow to the eye. Ling Han estimated that this single fruit could, at most, lift him by 1 minor tier, and that was only because he could expend such a vast quantity of origin power. Otherwise, if it helped him advance by half a minor tier, that would already count as excellent. Why were his spiritual oceans so unnaturally vast? And why did he even possess two? Yin and Yang? The two spiritual oceans ceaselessly ground against one another like a millstone, forever polishing his origin power. The consequence of this was the complete removal of flaws within his origin power, making it ever more condensed and pure. Most people only began to consolidate their cultivation after reaching the peak of the 9th layer of the spiritual ocean tier. Yet Ling Han carried this out at every moment, so his tier was incomparably stable. However, this also meant his advancement was extremely slow. Even if it was slow, it was still 10 times faster than normal people. After all, he was a grandmaster of alchemy and did not lack origin crystals. After a day and a night, Ling Han wholly refined and absorbed the spirit fruit's medicinal strength, and his cultivation reached the 5th layer of the spiritual ocean tier, one step closer to the 9th layer. He paced a circle within the Black Tower, then plucked several stalks of spirit grass, deciding to refine a few high-tier medicinal pills to send to auction. The profits from the tavern and the medicine shop were small yet steady, but if he truly wished to grow rich overnight, then he could only refine high-tier medicinal pills and place them at auction. However, the Spirit Treasures Pavilion did not hold auctions every day, so Ling Han only chose to refine pills after having arrived for a few days. The Spirit Treasures Pavilion's next large-scale auction was in 10 days. Ling Han refined a low-level Earth-grade medicinal pill, the bone-forming pill. This medicinal pill was for flower blossom tier cultivators. After one consumed a bone-forming pill, one's bones would be reconstructed, pushing them toward a tougher and stronger state. This was exceedingly practical, because when two flower blossom tier warriors clashed, even if one did not lose out in origin power, their bones could still break from insufficient durability. And once one's bones were shattered, it affected one's strength. How humiliating would that be? Thus, the tougher one tempered one's physique, the higher one could reach in the future. It was the same principle as compacting one's cultivation, merely approached from another angle. Only those in the flower blossom tier could take the bone-forming pill, because they had surpassed the mortal level and blossomed a heavenly flower upon their spiritual pedestal, possessing an endless stream of vitality. For anyone else, it would be courting death. Ling Han smiled with satisfaction. For this bone-forming pill, he did not plan to accept 1-star origin crystals, but 2-star or 3-star. He would soon step into the spiritual pedestal tier, and the effect of 1-star origin crystals would drop substantially. The profits from the tavern and the medicine shop were enough to provide Liu Yutong and the others with resources for cultivation. Ling Han headed to the Spirit Treasures Pavilion. The moment he took out the bone-forming pill, it immediately stirred the Spirit Treasures Pavilion's higher-ups. Such a pill was too high in grade, and for caution's sake, they specially invited an Earth-grade alchemy master to appraise it. By coincidence, that alchemist's surname was Liu, and his name was Ji Tong. He just happened to be Liu Qiyuan's grandfather. This Earth-grade alchemist was already 70 years old, and his cultivation was still at the spiritual pedestal tier, unable to break past the mortal limit. Otherwise, with a 300-year lifespan, 70 years of age would have been the prime of life. There was still hope. After all, he was an Earth-grade alchemist. The resources within his grasp were astonishing, and perhaps he could refine some kind of spirit pill that would support him in charging into the flower blossom tier. Upon seeing the bone-forming pill, the old man was greatly shocked. This was a low-level, Earth-grade medicinal pill, something he could refine as well. Yet after he opened the pill bottle, the old man suddenly jolted, his face revealing an extremely excited expression, and he remained silent for a long while. "Master Liu," someone from the Spirit Treasures Pavilion called out softly. Only then did Liu Jitong awaken, and he said, "The quality of this bottle of bone-forming pill is far too high, making this old man involuntarily sink into a reverie." "How high?" the person from the Spirit Treasures Pavilion asked. Since the bone-forming pill was too important, the one placed in charge was a flower blossom tier elite. However, Before an Earth-grade alchemist, he appeared quite humble. This flower blossom tier elite was called Li Fei Chen. 13 stars, even 14 stars in quality. Liu Jitong pondered as he gave his evaluation. Li Fei Chen instantly sucked in a cold breath. His eyes burned with desire. He was a flower blossom tier warrior, so he naturally needed bone-forming pills. A quality of 13 stars or even 14 stars stirred an impulse within him to seize it for himself. Young man, this medicinal pill was refined by an elder from your sect? Liu Jitong looked toward Ling Han. He absolutely had to become acquainted with the alchemist who refined it. If they could corroborate with one another, perhaps he could improve his own techniques. If it were him, the bone-forming pill he refined would be, at most, 6 stars in quality. Ling Han cracked a smile and said, "If I said I was the one who refined it, would you believe it?" Ha! Liu Jitong and Li Fei Cheng burst into laughter at the same time. This was a colossal joke. A 17-year-old, a low-level Earth-grade medicinal pill, and 13-star quality were things that could not be placed together. Ling Han laughed as well, then took out a golden badge along with an identification crystal. As he activated it, information on his identity was displayed. Liu Jitong and Li Fei Cheng's laughter stopped abruptly. "You're that Ling Han!" Liu Jitong cried out. Several months ago, when Ling Han was authenticated as an Earth-grade alchemist, the news spread to the North Pill Pavilion. Only one word echoed in their minds. Impossible. A 17-year-old youngster actually refined an Earth-grade medicinal pill? What a bad joke. However, 3 Earth-grade alchemists had jointly guaranteed it, so they could only believe it even if suspicions still lingered. They never would have thought that the youngest Earth-grade alchemist in history would actually appear before them. Ling Han nodded and said, "I'm that Ling Han." Liu Jitong no longer had any doubts. There were only so many Earth-grade alchemists in the northern region. He could count them with his fingers. And to refine a 13-star bone-forming pill? Only a high-level Earth-grade alchemist could accomplish that. Such people were even rarer, countable on a single palm, and each one was worshipped in the North Pill Pavilion as they diligently attempted to reach the heaven grade. Who would be so bored as to refine a bone-forming pill? Moreover, these 3 bone-forming pills were extremely fresh, still carrying a scent as though they had just come out of the furnace. Evidently, they could not be the work of a high-level Earth-grade alchemy master from his early years.